Hi, welcome to the Dan Bradbury podcast, where turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. In this podcast, I'll bring you resources, tips, interviews, and lots more to help to grow your business and make it less dependent on you. Hi, I'm Dan Bradbury.
And I'm Topher Morrison.
Welcome to the Dan Bradbury podcast.
And again, I get to be a guest host or co-host, guest co-host. I don't know what we call it. Someday we'll talk about why I'm here. But anyway, thanks for having me on the show.
Do you think we'll still be doing that in 3 years' time?
Knowing you and I, yeah, we will work that and stretch that out as long as we possibly can. So, all right, tell me what's going on. So the theme today, we're going to be talking about people and culture in business. So what's going on in the news?
Great article on Business Insider this week. Toxic work cultures are driving the great resignation. So recent data, this is what stood out to me in this article, Topher. The US, so from this from the US Bureau of Statistics, 4.4 million Americans quit their jobs last month, and that's the 11th consecutive month of more than 4 million resignations.
Wow.
That is just astonishing. So obviously the stats come from the US, but it's not dissimilar in the UK.
Yeah.
The great resignation, people demanding more flexibility, they're demanding work, stay from home, but there's just this attrition. And for business owners, this is a big deal.
Yeah. I will say, by the way, I think those numbers are slightly skewed. And the reason why I say that is because we are finally now starting to see the massive influx of baby boomers resigning or retiring. So that's probably a little bit skewed in that it's not everyone quitting because of culture. Some people are just getting old, but it's creating a perfect storm where you've got three things. You've got baby boomers retiring. You've got people wanting to work from home, gig culture, kind of, I think the one thing that the pandemic did for a lot of people, I think, is it got them to reconsider the meaning of life. As corny as that sounds, right? And just going, God, I am working my ass off for this company. Is it really worth it? Because I think that moment where we all had to stop doing everything and just start thinking, I think it got a lot of people reevaluating that. And especially for people that were making minimum wage, they realized that there's not a big difference between unemployment and minimum wage. And if they start realizing, well, wait a minute, the difference between minimum wage and unemployment is costing me 45, 50 hours a week, it's not worth it. So I think we've got that trifecta. We have retirees, we have people just trying to go to a new style of work, and then we have those people that have now kind of come to this realization that maybe there's more to life than just working minimum wage.
You say the trifecta, but you missed the biggest key.
Yeah.
I do agree that
maybe it's a quad trek done.
Yeah. Rather than having these things come together, so the pandemic, it was focused. Rather than being a frog in a boiling pot of water, it was because it was the temperature increasing slowly. The pandemic condensed it, so people made the distinctions quickly. Mm-hmm. But the fourth factor is technology. Technology, not just making it more easier to work from home.
Unnecessary employment.
And then
you don't need employees.
Well, I didn't mean it from unnecessary employment, albeit that's clearly true. Yeah. It was also that then everybody had to work from home, so the technology also got accelerated. So people upgraded internet, etc. Zoom, other platforms are available. Yeah. All these things upgraded, so people are now more capable. Yeah.
Now, by the way, even though I said those numbers are skewed, doesn't make them any less real. Doesn't make it any less important, right? There's still a big portion of three quarters of that could still be solved by giving people a better quality life in work. In fact, did you know, by the way, this just came out, I think it is, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know the country, is it Finland that is going to 4-day work weeks? They're experimenting with 4-day
I don't know if
weeks.
it's Finland, but I'm certain it's a Nordic country, whether it's Finland or Sweden.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but I'm sure it's somewhere in Scandinavia.
One of those people that go, "Woody-doody-doy." That's my best imitation of somebody from the Nordics.
Any which way you could hit, the data is really clear. From a recruitment point of view, people are demanding flexible working. Yeah. It's no longer like, oh, that's weird. Like, oh, you want to work for me, but you want to work from home a few days a week. It's now, it's becoming mandatory.
By the way, I think there might even be a fifth thing as well. And this is one where
factor? End factor?
Not too sure. I think, and this is the one where I'm going to get the hate mail now, but that's okay because this is your podcast, so it's your email. I also think that there has been a cultural shift of, I hate to say this because believe me, I want to make sure I'm not throwing out any dog whistles that I'm a Republican by any stretch of the imagination. I'm much more independent leaning to the left Democratic. In fact, I'm a registered Democrat.
What are you talking about right now? I get to the point.
Snowflakes, oversensitive people that
Yes.
are just like, oh, you're bullying me, you're bullying me. No, it's not bullying, it's just work.
Well,
you know, I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not picking on you.
Don't even get me started.
Right?
Do not, look, we've known each other for a long time.
Too long, actually.
You don't know this show?
This should have run its course by.
There is a, he just keeps coming back. So, there's a show in the UK, a character called Victor Meldrew, who's an old man who just complains. I don't believe it. Like, he just complains. I'm becoming one of those old men.
Yes, I think I'm the guy that sits on his porch and yells at the kids through his screen door.
I don't know if this is a phrase, but this is the phrase in my opinion. In the UK, but I suspect it's the same in the US, entitlement culture.
Yes.
There's so much, like, it's bred of the many good things that have come out of the pandemic where people have learned and adapted and gone, oh, we can be more flexible, it can work. Oh, that opens up, we can employ people from further away. It's also given us a bunch of entitled little shits. That's the technical term. So
I agree. And I know that we're going to get some hate mail from that, from the younger generation, but come on, toughen the fuck up.
Well, and here's why this is a big deal. It's the soft factors, because often we're talking about the numbers. We're talking about hard data, which is critical and important. But ultimately, the underlying asset, Topher, that drives all business is people and culture. Like, it's the people that execute, even you go, oh, systems. No, people are the ones that create the systems, manage the systems, execute the systems. If you've got, like, a great system, but you've got shitty employees, it's not going to work. And the thing that...
Quiet on the set! I'm so glad, by the way, I just was this. I'm so glad that wasn't my phone. I really thought it was. How you doing over there, Chad? Yeah? Good. All right. What were we talking about? People and culture. Oh, I'm picking on your employee.
Let's go.
Oh, we're not cutting that out. This is gold. This is picking on Chad gold. I like it.
People and culture, right? Like, it's the roots driver, people and culture.
I agree 100%.
So who are the people on the bus, and like how are they behaving, how they treating each other? Like, this is critical. And so even though it's softer, it's not hard numbers and data, it's really the root cause that creates the effects in your business. So if employees leave, it's not the data's clear. It's not just the cost of re-recruiting. It's the opportunity cost. It's the incremental cost. It's the cost of all the little details and distractions. Employee turnover fundamentally is bad. The people that keep their employees the longest, especially the senior management team, get ahead competitively again and again. This is a big damn deal. If you're not, there's recruiting great people, but there's also keeping them and building that strong culture. You're in deep trouble. You will not succeed in long term. Or said, a Keith Cunningham quote that I absolutely love is, you're not going to win the NBA with a basketball team full of midgets.
Can I, by the way, just say, I want to compliment you. I think you're expanding and growing. You didn't give me a Warren Buffett quote. You actually went beyond Warren. Well done, buddy. I'm sure he's going to come up by the end of this podcast. He always does.
I'm pretty sure too. I'm pretty sure too.
But anyway, by the way, and I agree with that. I think, and by the way, we should probably back up for a second as well. I'm not saying that we need to be jerks to our employees by any stretch of the imagination, right? But there's this happy medium between being overly sensitive and just being able to take a verbal punch, if you will, to where, sometimes, especially, I think, and this, let me ask you this. How much of this do you think is age bias versus gender bias as well? And let me show where I'm going with this one. You know as well as I do that we express our love and our respect for one another and we, like, if I don't want it to get awkward, but we love each other. We respect one another.
Where is this about to go? I have no idea. I'm quite
We
afraid.
demonstrate that love and respect by insulting each other.
100%.
Right? Like if you weren't insulting me, I would go, what did I do? What have I pissed him off? Right? You know, and the same thing. It's like we wake up, we go to work, we think, how can we insult the other one? Right? And this oversensitive culture is taking away that level of heckling, right? So there's that friendly banter that is now no longer acceptable. But there's a difference between just being that and just being a hardcore jerk. Right? And that is an issue too.
Here's a great example, because I can already feel some people
the hate
twitching
mail's
about
coming,
this.
yeah.
Right? And it's about the balance. So we'll put the source in the show notes, because I can't remember to give it credit where it's due. Mm-hmm. But there was a concept that was shared with me called the support challenge matrix.
Okay.
Have you heard of this? So the brief version would be, if you imagine two axes,
Yep.
one is low support to high support, one is low challenge, high challenge.
Yes.
It's ultimately suggesting you need to be in the top right, which
Yes.
is kind of empowerment.
High support, high challenge.
Correct. If you're in the bottom left, it's kind of apathy. Nobody gives a crap. Think,
Yep.
you're working for the government, right?
Yes.
Like nobody really gives a rat's ass.
Yeah.
But it's the other two quadrants that are interesting. So when it's high challenge, low support, or vice versa.
High challenge, low support would be bully culture.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And the point behind it is, wherever you're naturally inclined to go, you need the other one, right? So as in people that tend to be more dominant, there's value from pushing people. Right?
Yeah.
If you think of a leader or a teacher that's really got the best out of you at any point in your life,
Yeah.
they were somebody that really gave a crap about you. They really cared,
Yeah.
but they also didn't take your shit. They pushed you.
You know, a great example of that, a partnership, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak. Jobs was
Great
high
example.
challenge, low support. Wozniak was high support, low challenge. And the two balanced each other very, very well.
You've teamed me up perfectly.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger. I mean, Warren's nice, friendly, loving, generous with
he's
praise.
the grandpa,
Oh,
yeah.
and then Charlie Munger is savage.
Yes.
Savage. But it works. And the point being for people listening is, like, if you are overly weighted to one, it's back to that whole point. If the only tool you've got is a hammer, you think everything's a nail.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I get the best out of my employees because I push them. Like, I get them. That can be true, but too much of a good thing becomes bad. And actually, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah.
If you're more supportive. But then the people that go, yeah, support, are normally the people that are mollycoddling.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're high support, low challenge, do you know what that brings? Entitlement culture.
Entitlement culture.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, just think of a child.
Yep.
Think of a child that's given everything that they want, all the support that they need, but never challenged to do anything. What do you have? A spoiled little brat, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so the support challenge matrix, I probably explained it. I mean, it's only a little grid.
That's brilliant. You did a great job. I can see it. But by the way, I did get off track. I was asking you, do you feel that there's any kind of a gender bias in that? In that, because when I was saying we pick on each other, that's kind of like, if I were to carry, that's kind of like a man thing, right? Like men show their respect and love from one another by just insulting each other. I don't think that happens as much with women, but I don't know, because I've not been one. Allegedly.
Right. I feel like we're skating on very thin ice. So
We are,
actually,
yes.
no,
Once again, this is why it's your email, not mine.
right. Well, I think there are different cultures for different working environments. And that's not just trying to get away with it. Let's take it away from business. So my partner, right, my partner at home is a lady.
I was just about to go, who is a woman?
I'm not giving you that joke. But most people who are around us that know as well don't get it. Because we constantly tease each other.
There's a lot of teasing and badgering, yeah.
Right, but in context, because we know each other well.
Yes.
So if people don't know me
I can
and
see
they
it.
meet her, they're like, oh my God, you let him treat you that way? Or vice versa, to be clear.
Yeah.
But because they don't get it. They don't get in context. It's like, it's almost impossible for us to offend each other.
Yeah.
And actually, if we weren't doing that, I know something's wrong.
Yeah.
If she's not teasing me, if we're not, it's kind of like, she's not feeling good. She's not feeling comfortable, happy, secure. If she's not teasing, it's like, so anyway, we're not saying that, that's the way to treat people. It's always context specific, and the critical element that underlines it is you need to be dialed in with your culture and when things get out of balance.
By the way, what you just said without saying
By the way,
it,
that was a tee up for let's get to the next segment. But
yes.
You carry on.
Yeah, well, because what you just said without saying it is what makes that work is that there is rules associated. You said the rule. If she's not doing this, or if she's feeling this, she's not going to do this. You know what that rule is. Maybe it was never set out. There was no signature in there.
Right.
But that's what culture happens, right? Culture creates those rules that we behave by at work.
Right.
And they're rarely consciously created. You know, it's kind of evolves, and it's from usually the top down that happens.
Right. Ultimately, culture is the way that you treat each other, it's the way that you behave, and I think you need to be dialed in. I heard it said this way once, Topher, and I can't attribute the quote, but culture, so perhaps somebody can write in or message and let us know, and I'll give credit where it's due. Culture is asking your employees, how are they, and actually giving a shit about their response.
Yeah, wow,
Right?
that's
Like,
great.
it's not like, oh yeah, how are you? It's actually caring.
Yeah.
Right? But how that shows up is different in different contexts, in different cultures, in different environments. It's appropriate to have different cultures. Some working environments, it needs to be high speed, cut straight to the point, no BS. And there's other ones where it's appropriate for it to be much more, I'll say, touchy-feely.
Yeah. By the way, how are you?
I was going to say go fuck yourself, but that would be inappropriate on the podcast.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the fail of the week.
Fail of the week. I'm really happy about this. That I finally get a chance to beat up on this company.
Yes.
Is TikTok.
Yes.
So look, I mean,
Our favorite frenemy. Actually, it's not even friends. I just hate it.
right. Well,
really
but it's in my life every day. I have children. I have children of an age where they have mobile phones.
I just have a whole new level of sympathy for you.
Oh, it is unbelievable.
Yeah, I
We're
didn't think
back
about
to the
that.
Victor Meldrew, the world's going to hell,
Yeah.
hell in a handbasket. Anyway, TikTok has just shuttered its shopping service in the UK following a disastrous launch and a mass employee walkout. Why did this happen? So the UK employees said, toxic work culture. How many times have we heard that?
Yeah.
Like fast-growing corporates, toxic work culture and HR law violations, right?
Wow.
So fundamentally, I mean, think about this. If you don't treat your employees well, it's kind of obvious, but if you don't treat your employees well, they will take you down because they are the business.
Yeah, and that here's the thing. This is the generational versus gender. There was a generation where it didn't matter because there wasn't the internet, right? So employers could treat their employees like shit. They would quit. They'd go away, but nobody would ever know. That can't happen in today's culture because nowadays it's just one review away, one viral video away, and it can literally take down a company.
Right. Well, actually, this is, getting ahead, an alternative book of the week. I know we've already got a hot one this week, but here's another one that just came to mind. I like reading classics. I think if you're listening to this podcast and you are not dialed in on biographies of great entrepreneurs, you're batshit crazy. So the book I'm just reading, Made in America, which is the biography, it's the autobiography, I think it's co-written by Sam Walton of Walmart fame.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
Oh, it's a great book.
I bet it would be, yeah.
It's a great book. I mean, obviously, the business is legendary, less well known in the UK, but his family, I still think this is true. I still think his 3 children or 4 children are still, each of them, are in the top 20 richest people in the United States individually.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, at one time, he was the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Favorite biography, 3, 2, 1.
Titan.
Shoe Dog. Which one was yours?
Mine was Titan.
Titan. Oh, that was a good one too.
John Rockefeller, but Shoe Dog is definitely up there, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we could play that game for 10 minutes. We could reshoot that clip 10 times and we'd have some
different books. Yeah.
Anyway, so, but what came across in this book was how much he cared about the company and how much he put the employees first in like profit sharing being an example, like way before it was a trendy, en vogue thing.
This was an autobiography? Or
Yeah. It was so Sam Walton wrote it. I think it was co-written, and I think there's a co-author.
Yeah.
But it's about his life and the Walmart story. It's called Made in America.
Yeah.
Right?
Interesting.
And about profit sharing, but again, not just about the money. It's about how they have a crazy company culture with their Saturday morning meetings and how they did all these wacky things.
Yeah.
And the point, Topher, is not for people to go, oh, I need to do what he did. I should do profit sharing, or I should do weird and wacky like they've got a company chant and things like that. Like that's not the point. It's underlying it. He's creating a bond, a connection, a culture where people care about each other, right? And he says it single-handedly is the most important thing that he did that drove Walmart's success. The number one. And this is from a man that was obviously a multi-billionaire and richest man in the world at one time, like in the late 80s, early 90s, I think. Yeah. So it's culture. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, cool. So, well, hopefully we won't ever become TikTok. Let's talk about Hero of the Week. Give me an entrepreneur who's crushing it that you're impressed by.
This week's Hero of the Week is Jim Allen. So Jim is the CEO of the Hard Rock Cafe, which has got obviously hundreds of locations worldwide. He's the CEO of it. And he just released, I don't want to say it was abused, but it was a somewhat shocking story from his early, that really forged his career. And it made him who he is today. So when he was working in a restaurant as a teenager, he got late there one day. He arrived late because he'd been at sports practice that had overrun. And the business owner, who was pretty darn aggressive, picked him up, threw him through a door onto the ground, and basically said, "Are you the best person? Like, can you be the best player on your team?" And Jim said, "No, I don't think so." He goes, "Are you going to make the Olympics?" And Jim said, "No." And he goes, "Okay, I'm going to give you two choices. You can either go back to that loser team, or you can get your ass up, get in there, and I'm going to teach you how to run this business."
Wow.
Right. And Jim said, it's a slightly unorthodox way of doing it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it kind of shook him in in the mental sense, but it actually caused him to buckle down, and he realized that actually this is what he loved to do and what he wanted to do.
Wow.
So, and you know, years later, here he is, CEO of one of the biggest restaurant chains, not in the world, but like a massive, iconic.
It's an iconic one for sure.
Reference chain. So, cool story. So, I like them sharing it because, while I do not condone that as an important. Speak to your HR professionals. It's a good example of how sometimes difficult, challenging environments or experiences can help you make great decisions, right? You can learn from it, and it drove him to the success that he's got today.
Wow, cool. All right. Okay, so then I guess that leads us to the last segment, which is Book of the Week.
The book of the week this week is The Culture Code.
Yes.
I love how you describe this book.
I loved it. Actually, I just finished reading this maybe about a month ago, 2 months ago, so it's still fresh in my brain. In the mastermind that I facilitate, it was really weird. And have you noticed this, by the way, in your masterminds, that themes just kind of surface, like all of a sudden the same thing, like they go, yeah, me too, me too, me too.
Well, actually, side note, there's only 6 business problems, right? So it's funny.
It's not that hard, right? Yeah. So what kind of came up for people, like 3 months in a row, culture questions kept coming up. So I really went out to search for a great book on culture. And interestingly enough, the first person I go to when I want to get a great book is you. Right. So I called you up and I said, all right, let me know what book it is. And I remember this. You go, well, I haven't read it yet, but I've heard good things about the Culture Code. And so I bought it, read it, and loved it, and sent that out to my team on my mastermind. And I remember specifically one of my clients that's in the mastermind, Sydney, she's been having some challenges with culture in the business because they're growing and she's feeling those growing pains. She said it was one of the best books she'd ever read. And I loved it. And you know, it takes, here's the thing about the book. It doesn't just talk about what it is. It also talks about how to foster it, which I think is the important thing as well, right? And so it's good from that perspective. Now, if anybody's listening to this podcast or watching that doesn't read a lot or is too busy to read, which I think is a bullshit excuse, but if anybody's not into it yet, here's the other book that I think I'd recommend, and that would be Chapter 7 of the book The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham.
Love that book.
Yeah.
Culture is king.
Yep. Yeah, and in that, like everything you need to know about culture is in that one short, brief chapter that probably takes 5 minutes to read.
Actually,
it's really profound.
This kind of just occurred to me. So I'm checking myself, but I feel that this is true. the bigger your business gets, the more critical culture becomes. Here's why I think that's the case.
Yeah.
First of all, typically the bigger your business gets, the higher your headcount.
Yeah.
But fostering a healthy culture is about how do you make sure that people stay true to the mission and the intent of your business when you're not there? Because you can't, like once you get beyond, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 people, I heard somebody the other day claim they could do it with 20, which I don't think is true, but it's like all of a sudden you've got managers hiring people, like the bigger it gets, the more critical. It's critical the whole way, but it becomes the source of leverage because all your leverage is going to come from either employees or team members or contractors or systems, right? That's where your leverage comes from. So it becomes increasingly critical the more you grow.
Interesting enough. So I'm gonna take that and go one step further, right? Because if you're saying that the more employees you get, the more critical culture becomes. I would also add to that and say, and that's why it's even more crucial that you start it when there's only 2.
There.
Right? Because otherwise, all of a sudden, the culture has been established without any conscious.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, now we got all these bad habits, we got this, and we're going to fix that and unwind. And it's so hard to unwind toxic culture.
Right. I mean, anybody inside my mastermind programs, Tofo, will know Kevin Hall, right? Kevin Hall is the cultural maestro. He's masterful. Amazing. And he was saying a recent skills day that we did for our members on culture. He was saying, and I'm paraphrasing him slightly, but you've already got a culture. So people kind of go, oh, there's this thing that I create. I don't know, you've already got a culture.
Yeah,
it's just whether you consciously created it or not, right? And there's a real art to it. I mean, there's loads of things. I mean, we could put loads of books in here. So another one, if somebody wants a more, if they struggle with reading, a fun read because it's written more as a novel is The Dream Manager.
I love that book. Yeah.
Kelly. His surname's Kelly. I can't remember what his first name is.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Jim Kelly.
Great book. Great book. Not what I was thinking either when I bought it. I was thinking, oh, this would be the dream manager. No, it's about actually how to foster the dreams of your employees, which I thought was brilliant.
Right, that's it. Right. Again, how do you make it so that your employees give a crap?
Yeah.
Right. How do they so that they really care?
Let me plug Kevin's brilliance one step further as well, by the way, because he recommended a book to me a couple of weeks ago. I got it that morning, read it that day, thanked him that night.
Holy crap, I haven't heard this story. Right?
Yeah. It's called, I don't remember the name of the author.
I don't remember the name of the book, but it was really good.
Yeah, but we can get into the show notes. But the title of the book is It's Your Ship.
Oh, I don't know this book.
Yeah, it's easy. It's a fast read, obviously. Read it. It was by, I don't know the rankings, Admiral, Captain, General, whatever. I don't know who he was, but it was the guy who ran some ship in the Navy for the U.S.
Right.
And it was how he built a culture, and they became it was like the best ship in the Navy, and they won all these awards, and they came in under budget 2 years in a row, and the whole book is all about culture and how he developed and created this really powerful culture within the ship.
I love it. Yeah. We're just on a roll. Let's just do 100 books. We could do this.
We should call this section Books of the Week because I don't think we've ever just mentioned one.
So this is a great book. So have you read Extreme Ownership?
Oh, yes. That is... Actually, I've read all of his books, and they are Jocko Willink.
Jocko Willink.
Willink?
I think it's pronounced Willink.
Willink, yeah. Jocko Willink. Great book. Yeah, that's... How did we not think about that before the show started?
It's amazing. And tying back to the challenge support matrix, I mean, if you think culture, I mean, Navy SEALs. What an unbelievable example of culture. People just say military, but actually, what Jocko elegantly discusses is kind of that. I think he describes it as a dichotomy, right?
Yeah. In fact, his book after that was called The Dichotomy of Leadership.
Oh, that's funny. I was going to say, yeah. So, but fundamentally, extreme ownership is as it sounds.
Yeah.
In fact, I've heard personal development be summarized as take ownership for everything that you do in your life.
Yeah.
And but how do you foster that in your employees? That if the employees own their jobs, they own their outcomes, they own that they're not after an hourly paycheck, right?
Yeah.
They're after how do I deliver on the outcomes? That's when you've got a powerful call. You want to build a business? In fact, I'm in flow now, Topher.
Yeah.
If you want to build a business that's not dependent upon you.
Let me just get out of the frame.
If you want to build a business that's not dependent upon you, you need a world-class team of people that give a shit, that care, that are committed. And that comes down to culture.
You're preaching.
That's it.
All right, let's wrap it up. Let's take it home. Give us a Quote of the
Well,
week?
ties together perfectly. Legendary management consultant, the godfather of management consulting, Peter Drucker, says, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah, every day.
Right. Every day. Oh, as in, if 7 days a week and twice on Sundays.
Yeah. No, I'm saying the quote is, culture eats breakfast
Yeah, I just made it better. me and Peter were like that. And just to emphasize, think about it, right? It's kind of like, oh, you can have a great strategy, but a shitty culture. It's not getting done. It's not getting forward. But if you've got a weak strategy, but you've got an epically strong culture by employees that are empowered, they'll change it. They'll change and fix the strategy. Culture is where it's at, my friend. So on that basis, if you want a better business, you need to be a better business owner. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed that episode. 3 things you need to do now. Number 1, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you do not miss an episode. Also, get on over to Amazon to get a copy of my latest book, Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity, 9.5 Steps to Improving Your Profits and Cash Flow. Also, join our Facebook group, the Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity community, to connect with other business owners.